My name is Serhii, and I am from the company Onix. And with us today is Volodymyr, who is the esteemed head of the PHP
Hi,
department.
Rick.
Today, in this particular format, we genuinely want to once again share and thoroughly demonstrate how Volodymyr effectively utilizes various advanced AI tools to significantly assist him in his professional work and continuous personal development, thereby making the entire process as incredibly practical and genuinely useful as humanly possible for all our dedicated and hardworking developers. But let's start perhaps with an introduction. Tell us, how long ago did you start experimenting with these tools?
I actually started using AI quite a while ago. Specifically, back in early 2023, I began actively utilizing artificial intelligence when GitHub Copilot was initially released. For me, Copilot was a truly remarkable and significant discovery at that particular time, primarily because its capabilities felt genuinely magical and incredibly innovative. You write code, and it practically understands what you want to add, even before you finish your thought.
By the way, Microsoft Copilot was actually officially released in the fall of 2022.
We are still actively using autocomplete even now, and it's just absolutely awesome. Copilot, in fact, made quite a strong impression and became the first step toward transforming the way we work, our style, and our approach to work.
First and foremost, it changes you as a person, right?
Yeah, it was just impressive. And then the real revelation for me was ChatGPT, because back then our client Omi was bragging that, through us there's this chat, and he was using it for things. I was thinking, well, I don't know about that. But then I tried it and thought, wow. And it was really like a mind-blowing experience because it felt like the fulfillment of a childhood dream. When you imagine a smart computer, when you're a kid playing or imagining things and you wish it could understand you like people do, and now, well, here it is. And
So it's already been, let's see, more than 2 years, right? So that's 23, 24, 25. And what are you using now? Are you experimenting or using it for work?
actually, I personally use, well, to be completely honest with you, I utilize quite a substantial number of different tools, and I will thoroughly explain the precise reasons why. First and foremost, the act of employing a multitude of various tools in the current technological landscape is proving to be exceptionally interesting and highly beneficial. I use, well, first of all, ChatGPT very often. I primarily utilize ChatGPT to streamline and accelerate my professional tasks involving textual content. Therefore, the core functionality I frequently employ is custom.NET GPT. It truly is an exceptionally powerful and versatile tool that enables the creation of numerous intricate workflows tailored specifically for your job requirements. This means you can effortlessly upload your own documents and various files directly into the system. For instance,
Can you give an example of a GPT that is most useful to you?
the most incredibly useful application, well, for a prime example, I personally and frequently utilize advanced GPT models to comprehensively assist me in generating a detailed and strategic roadmap specifically tailored at a highly intricate technical level, encompassing various architectural considerations and implementation phases. Here's exactly how I typically use it. I currently possess a comprehensive file containing all of my assigned tasks that are meticulously managed within the Grow system, which is an integral part of our operational framework. Furthermore, I have access to several illustrative examples that clearly demonstrate how this crucial information should be precisely structured and organized in its definitive final version, ensuring clarity and consistency. And when I want to generate some kind of comprehensive and detailed roadmap, I just go to ChatGPT, open this specific GPT, then turn on the audio transcription feature and simply dictate to it, we have successfully conducted such and such a thorough technical review. We meticulously did this and that. These particular points have already been comprehensively covered. The current level of progress is such and such, because in the JSON file, it's clearly specified that these particular tasks are specifically designated for this particular level. This aspect is good, that other aspect is bad, and so on and so forth. And then it compiles all the information and pulls from the JSON all the tasks that haven't been completed or need attention, creates a summary and formulates some points. So
Do you generate a roadmap for developers for performance reviews?
yes, it's much, much simpler and significantly more efficient than manually looking through all of these numerous items and somehow painstakingly picking them out. This is just absolutely brilliant and incredibly helpful.
It's not as interesting for others, but for development, it is.
For my development workflow, I've truly tried a lot of different options and various approaches. Well, first and foremost, I consistently use Cursor quite often, almost daily. Now I use it a bit less because Claude Code came out and I've really been using it a lot. And I personally use Cursor because it has a really cool and incredibly useful Cursor tab feature, which I find to be quite beneficial. The autocomplete works across many lines, which is just awesome. For code generation in agent mode, I use Claude Code. Right now, it has no competitors. I even tried using OpenAI's tool, basically the same kind of tool.
It's called Codex.
I haven't tried Google's Gemini yet, but I want to give it a shot. But, well, overall, Claude Code suited me the most. It offers a lot of handy features right out of the box. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I also tried integrating ChatGPT into CubeSore, and I showed in a video how I communicate with ChatGPT by voice, and it explains to me what's in the file. It's pretty cool. Why exactly am I doing this particular task? Because we currently have quite a significant and substantial problem. Let's say we have our truly beloved PHP storm, which practically everyone genuinely loves and absolutely doesn't want to ever leave. But right now, they're just catching up with everyone else in terms of AI, and there isn't the kind of seamless integration that we'd like to have.
For now, they're lagging behind.
Yeah, they're a bit behind, but we hope they'll catch up, but still. And I really wanted to keep using PHP Storm so that we could develop in it and take advantage of all the benefits of artificial intelligence. That's why I tried out different IDEs, Zed, Windsurf, Cursor, something that could replace PHP Storm. But honestly, it's just not realistic. PHP Storm is irreplaceable for us. I also tried Juni, and actually it worked pretty well for our department. We have a project that was done by Oleg Adignalov. He can tell you more about it in detail.
You already talked about it.
He did, right? All right. So that's the one Juni is on. Well, Oleg uses it very effectively, and the results are very positive, especially in terms of how quickly he develops and how fast he implements features. The definitive conclusion I've personally come to now is that I still consistently use Cursor primarily because its autocomplete functionality is significantly much better and it's considerably more convenient to effectively work with. And for the specific agent mode, I exclusively use Cursor as it truly excels in that particular aspect.
All right. So let's move on to the practical part. You said you could give an example, maybe not Oleg's about ECT or some other example of how much code has already been written using eggshells.
Well, Oleg's example is even the best because we practically, well, from the beginning of the project, wrote quite a lot of it in the general code. Well,
Let me just say, with Oleg, we recently recorded a video and it will be released very soon, I think, either this coming Friday or perhaps Saturday or even Monday. In this video, he really shows one of his projects detailing how he set it up and how, with specific commands and rules, he successfully made Julie do exactly what he needed her to do.
yeah, it's just awesome. Highly recommended. Another project where we actively use artificial intelligence code generation and all that is Paina Market. So on Paina Market, I'm literally trying out every possible option. My project there has visually turned a bit into a mess because there are tons of configs for different agents. There's one for Cursor, one for Claude, and so on. Well, I found a way. I use symlinks with rules, linking from one set of rules to other files, so at least they're not duplicated, but it still looks messy. I hope that somehow the approaches to configuration will get standardized. However, when considering Pine Market, one particular aspect that I genuinely appreciate and find exceptionally appealing is the comprehensive and meticulously articulated manner in which the guidelines and principles for effectively writing code have been thoroughly described and presented, making them remarkably clear and easy to understand for all users. Because the comprehensive rules we have meticulously written there now effectively allow advanced LLMs, first of all, to precisely write the specific code we genuinely want and to accomplish this task pretty quickly and efficiently. And these comprehensive rules meticulously describe in great detail the various effective ways you can efficiently run and thoroughly test your code, in addition to precisely how to effectively call the powerful API through the intuitive console interface, and furthermore, how to securely and properly authorize within our robust API system so that we can comprehensively test all the necessary APIs that specifically require secure authorization for their full functionality. And this really and truly raises the overall quality of the product to a pretty significantly high level.
Maybe you can show the file with the LLM.
Yes, allow me to share it with you. There are a few important nuances that you really need to pay close attention to. First of all, this isn't quite the right project for us right now. Please give me just 2 seconds to adjust.
Go ahead, so we don't break anything pending.
These are indeed my very own personal workspaces. There is absolutely nothing at all to worry about here. Yes, these are the established rules that must be followed. They're more, well, here we will say this. Well, first, the key principles come. That is, as we write there, what development order we described, in what order you need to develop spells.
You tell the cursor, you do a seam link to this file and rename it.
Yes, when configuring in the make file, we have it specified there to create seam links in different folders. Well, I just didn't do them, but let's say it gets done. What I realized when I was thinking about how to do all these prompts, first of all, it's not really possible to describe everything in great detail because such documentation ends up being quite large. And if you use something like a cursor or something similar, we quickly fill up the context window. So when the rules are described really thoroughly at the start, about 60% of the window is already filled with these rules. And that's pretty bad because it leaves us with very little space for the code to be written.
Different models also have different window sizes. In the main models, it's supposedly 1,000,000.
Yes, however, with the specific ones that we are currently using, this unfortunately causes quite significant and considerable problems. With code, there are fewer problems because it handles the window size quite well.
Well, did you optimize those rules for it?
Yes, in the initial versions, I would simply send a direct link to the specific code file and then explicitly ask it to thoroughly review those particular files before commencing any development work and to consistently perform the same action thereafter. But then I moved away from that rule because, firstly, it really slows things down a lot since you constantly have to read those files, look through them, and so on. So I did something like FBCA. I just inserted code snippets that describe in one way or another the flow that should be followed.
Wait, is this about the flow or code requirements? Requirements for
The code, but it's crucial to understand that these specific code snippets aren't entirely valid or complete from a strict programming perspective. They might be mere fragments, incomplete sections, or perhaps even illustrative examples that lack full functional integrity and so on. But they show the main points, for example, that there should be a decorator for the controller, there should be API documentation, our custom classes for responses and so on must be used, routing, how it should be defined, how our access level ACL is described, parameters, that there should be custom classes for routing, for requests, responses, and so on. Services should be injected directly into our endpoint and so on. And so for each layer, we have small code snippets. Plus, there's a table here with standards, code writing, and so on. And these standards, as you can see, are quite concise. It says here that, for example, hash controller, obviously this should be such a decorator. QA get, that's API documentation that should be there. There should be parameters and responses. There should be routing through a decorator. There should be ACL, for example, a service. There should be a read-only class, a DI constructor, and so on. That is, we don't write out a human-readable rule for it directly. Instead, we just give it such tags, indicating that it uses this, and this. And this significantly reduces the file size, but it still understands everything. And that's pretty cool. Also, by the way, here we have, let me show you, this way is better.
a proper ODF file.
Plus, here we've written our Docker commands because our project only runs in Docker. It sets up its own local environment there. That's why here it's specified how the LLM can execute commands inside Docker, which containers, and how you can, for example, run tests or check styles.
You provide essential information to the Cloud Code that effectively works from the console, so it can seamlessly run all these necessary commands itself whenever it truly needs to.
Yes, of course. And here's an interesting point. API testing twice, serial. Here I specify which test phone number we're using. This is a phone number you don't need to call to send the code. The code is simply written into the file where it is stored.
It's not a leak, it's behind some AUS or something, but it's protected by authorization.
It's local. Besides, you can't do anything with this account anyway. So there's nothing there. And then following that, there is a comprehensive step-by-step guide that meticulously details precisely how we go about authenticating users and processes within our secure and robust system.
Proper project documentation is essential.
And he knows that to call anything, he first needs to get an AUS code and log in. And that's how we use the token. For example, to get an account, and here's a very important point. Since the commands that are run by the cursor, whoever is actually running them, they probably create a separate terminal environment or something similar to that internally. This process ensures that the execution of these commands is isolated and managed effectively. environment variables are not shared between runs. So for example, if the cursor launches something, if you use the terminal command and set an environment variable with export, for example, then the next time you run it, it won't have that environment variable anymore. That's why we came up with this workaround here. We write our token or code directly into a file in the TMP folder, and we say, just read this file every time and use it. And that's exactly what it does. So you log in once, and it keeps using that token all the time. Plus, when the token expires, it can refresh it automatically. We set up this step, and that's all there is to it. And this particular thing really truly takes the overall quality up a significant level or two, without a doubt. Oh, because when he writes some feature, he then goes, runs it, and sees the errors that occur right there in runtime. And
That's what I wanted to ask you. So he writes the feature himself and runs it on your side. You give him a command like write a controller with a new API and try out how it works.
yes, that's right. I don't know, maybe he's listed with us, but I don't remember. Yes, he develops the feature. Then he says, now I'll test it through Sewer. He runs it, and he might potentially get a 401 error. Then he'll proceed to log in, try again, and carefully check if there's some kind of specific error message, or, well, if he clearly sees that the status code is, for instance, 401 or something similar to that effect. And he'll realize that he did something wrong with the authorization, so he'll go and fix the authorization, or he'll get some warnings like define not an index or something, figure out where it is, go there and fix it. And so going back and forth like this without your involvement, he at least brings the feature to a state where everything runs and works. Well, I mean, it's not a guarantee in the way you might want, but it is a guarantee that it will work, that it will at least be called and executed. And
Well, tell me, I don't know if you have your environment set up right now so that you could at least give some command to Claude Code so it would call some API and report the result.
well, I can certainly try that right now at this very moment.
Can you, for now, close one fact and open another?
Yeah, just run those things.
So you have Docker Desktop on your MacBook, okay?
I'll just run a container from Vanik.
MIP server.
Yeah, that's a special love of mine.
Okay, next time you'll tell me about it.
All right, so I sincerely hope that everything has successfully started up and is running smoothly. I truly hope so. So for example, for instance, right now, I am pondering, by the way, how exactly do you perceive and gain access to the vast and intricate realm of the cloud? Please provide a clear explanation.
Yeah, go ahead. Make it a bit bigger if you can, so it's easier to see. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Conject. Yes? Well, basically, I don't know if I'll generate features. No need for features.
To generate, just throw it in to run something
And something.
to show. I can't think of a command.
Please proceed to demonstrate the functionality. Could you kindly log in using the credentials for the user named Surel, and then proceed to display all the relevant account information and details associated with that particular user profile? I don't know, something like that.
Interesting. Which one will it choose? Oh, does it show the tokens to you right away?
Well, yeah, it shows how many tokens are being used and so on. Well, I don't know. With the max plan, it's probably not that interesting.
Yeah, on the max plan, the one for $100, right?
Yes. So it effectively triggered the initialization process according to our established rules, and subsequently we successfully obtained the necessary code for authentication.
The authentication code, like an SMS came in, right?
Well, kind of like an SMS, but it's a test number, so that's why it's like that.
It only works locally. Okay.
So we got our access token, logged in. Oh, now I will proceed to show you the complete and detailed account information, which is readily available for your review.
Tell me, is the white screen in the console only during the day or also at night?
Also at night. I didn't touch it.
Moving on formally.
All right. It works. It works not just because I asked for it. It even works when you say you've developed a feature, and then you write, now let's test the resource. And it's not a person, but a messenger who takes these routes we've created and starts running them. And moreover, I'll tell you, when you have MSP servers configured to the database, to Redis, here we have MSP JSON.
I want you to start by explaining, like, what is MSP in general? How long have you been using them?
Well, I use MSP. MSP is like a really important and significant thing.
An abbreviation that describes an automatic protocol, but what exactly is the server used for and what purpose does it serve?
The server is specifically utilized so that our advanced large language models, which possess the inherent capability and programming to effectively work with various sophisticated tools, can seamlessly establish a secure connection to the designated MSP servers and subsequently leverage the highly specialized and custom designed tools that have been meticulously set up and configured within that environment.
The LLM connects to other tools through the MSP server, can ask them to do something and retrieve the result from them.
For example, the MSP server, specifically Postgres, possesses a powerful and useful tool that is commonly referred to as query. And the LLM can generate a query and then execute this query directly on the data vault, get the results, and decide what to do next. So look,
you only gave it a read-only user.
And on the MSP server itself, it runs a read-only transaction, so it's impossible to do anything else there.
We rely on the users, but
you always need to check because it's a third-party package, so it's better to double-check. And these MSP servers, for example, Postgres, Redis, which we have configured, they're hard-coded right in the code. And when you launch the cursor, they all start up. So if we go into Docker, we'll see that the servers are running here. And when you meticulously write a new feature, you say, now thoroughly test it. It seamlessly goes through the continuous integration CI pipeline, which automatically launches everything, carefully checks that the responses are absolutely correct, and so on. And then it also goes to the MSP, to the database tables it created, and it runs queries on these tables, checking that all the data has been written correctly, and so on. And this is automated.
In one go, huh? Well, does it do this by itself, or do you also tell it to check the database?
Well, it's kind of like, it's a clever trick. You meticulously set it up within the established rules, and it will most likely perform the action as intended. However, it might not always, so you then instruct it, now, please proceed to thoroughly check the database. I mean, that's just how this work goes. You can't do it without a developer, but it really simplifies things. And, well, it just shows how much you can actually simplify. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly like learning magic, right?
Yeah. And what's more, even more than that, we even have experience writing our own custom MSP servers. So in our department, there's Katya Turtubikova and now also Vova Kashivska. And they, just as a research project, are writing an MSP server for fine markets. Yes. And it's actually quite profoundly interesting. First and foremost, what is particularly interesting is that, well, the MSP servers that we currently have, you meticulously set them up in the cluster and so on and so forth. They predominantly utilize Docker, some kind of novel and innovative add-on within the Nginx environment. I'm not entirely certain. So they're set up locally and you only use them locally, and, well, no one else can use them.
You did this for the users of the fine market, right?
Well, it's like a demo for us.
As
demo. That is, we are not for users, we were just playing, but there was a good example where you can automate all this. And if we go here, if we go into tools and settings, you can see that we already have quite a lot of tools listed here. And all this allows us to use the fine markets API and interact with it. Well, for example, our incredibly fine market is essentially about, well, the comprehensive process of buying and selling various goods and services and so on. We can precisely write, like, what exactly is it fundamentally about in its entirety.
Is there Corona beer at the fine market?
Well, maybe I'll just show all the available data, for example, or perhaps just the initial 3 FANA stores, specifically to clearly demonstrate and illustrate the operational mechanics and functionality of the system. The user, upon seeing this, will then fully comprehend that he has access to and is interacting with the FANA Market MSP, which is our dedicated marketplace service provider. Consequently, he will then proceed to access and interact with our application programming interface, or API, to retrieve or submit necessary information.
And so what was that just now exactly?
Well, to allow the convenient and efficient use of it once or even several times, and he possesses comprehensive knowledge of everything. Like, here are our very first 3 prominent stores, and the application programming interface is almost fully and completely written out. I just don't know. Now we will undoubtedly have to patiently wait. No
need, okay, because it's already time, but I get it, you're doing...
That's the plan for it to work like that. And it almost does already. Like, you type in, I want to make a Caesar salad, generate a recipe for me and tell me where I can buy these ingredients. And it generates the recipes for you and tells you, in this store, there's this discount, and in another one, there's that, so you can buy it. And it suggests you can substitute this cheese with that one because there's a good discount on it, something like that.